قد أهل بالصيام وأطل مسعدا أهلا وخلا ليته في كل حين.
رمضان قد أهل بالصيام وأطل مسعدا أهلا وخلا ليته في كل.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. قال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending peace and blessing upon his final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Jazakumullah khair to each and every one of you for attending. Inshallah, the topic, as the brother said, is going to be about the fiqh of Ramadan or the fiqh of fasting. In fact, Ramadan is a month of fasting, but with it there are many other acts of ibadah, worship. So no doubt we will have to touch upon those as well today, inshallah ta'ala. So what is fiqh? What do we understand by the word fiqh whenever we hear this? It literally means fahm, which is to understand. And when we talk about the fiqh of fasting or the fiqh of Ramadan, it is to understand how and in which manner that we should do this act of worship, ibadah. So it's all to do with the rulings. So it's important for us to know what is allowed, what is not allowed, what time we should do an act. What is the status of the act? Is this something obligatory? Meaning, if it's obligatory, I must do this. Because if I leave the obligatory, what happens? Sinful. And also I need to know those things that will invalidate an act, nullify an act. Because if I do one of those acts, then what happens? I'm doing an act. I'm thinking I'm going to get a reward, but I've nullified it. So before I've even completed it, it's not accepted. So all of this is to do with fiqh. And it's very important that we understand this. And regarding this, the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, Man yuridillah bi khairin yufaqihu fid deen. I mean, whoever Allah intends good for a person, then Allah, what will He do? He will give them the fiqh of the deen, the understanding of the deen. So that's why it's one of those topic, fiqh, not everyone can comprehend. Not everyone can understand straight away. And that's why amongst the students of knowledge, talibul ilm, one of the things that people always forget is the ruling of something. You know, sometimes we can understand topics which are to do with the heart, to do with the unseen and so on. But when it comes to the actual ruling of a thing, is it halal or haram? This is the thing I get the most calls about. I get the calls from the people like Ustad or Sheikh. What is the ruling on this? I mean, what is the fiqh on this? I mean, I know something about the topic, but what is the ruling? Is it something obligatory? Is it something that is sunnah recommended for me to do? How does it fall in this status? So this is what we want to, inshallah ta'ala, discuss today, which is the issue of the fiqh of fasting and the fiqh of Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. And pray Allah gives us this tawfiq. Why should we... I mean, how comes that we don't do the fiqh of Sha'ban or the fiqh of Rajab or the fiqh of Muharram? I mean, you'll never get this. The most popular topic is the fiqh of Ramadan because there's so much involved in this. And this is because of the hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, oh, Allah, give us barakah, blessing in the month of Rajab, the month of Sha'ban, and bring forth for us the Ramadan. So what the Prophet ﷺ here is saying is that make special for us these months. What is barakah? You know, when we think about what is barakah, everyone will say barakah, yes? When somebody has a son, what do we say to this person? We say, Mabruk. Mabruk, like blessed are you. Congratulations. Okay. What does this mean? Why do we say this to someone who has a son or a daughter? Let's not be biased there. Son or a daughter, alhamdulillah, is both Mabruk, yes? Why do we say congratulations to them? Why do we say that? Because Allah increased them in something. I mean, they didn't have a child, but the moment they had a child, alhamdulillah, mabruk, congratulations, because you have gained something. You've increased in something. So just like that, the barakah, what we need to understand is the barakah is blessing, but blessing means you're increasing something. That's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, there will always be barakah on my ummah. When it rains, But you don't know when the barakah is going to come, when the blessing is going to come. Is it in the first part of the rain? Or is it in the last part? I mean, as the cloud travels, where does the barakah go? Where does the blessing go? We don't know. Because this blessing comes from who? Allah Azza wa Jal. But alhamdulillah, so we are coming to the month of Ramadan, and that's why the brother asked me, can you do something to help us prepare a little bit for the Ramadan? And obviously explain to us how to prepare in the correct manner with the fiqh. So, as the month of Ramadan is coming, because we have so many acts of ibadat, acts of worship, it's important for us to know what happens when, as in time, and which manner to do it, inshallah ta'ala. So this is what we want to try to understand. Firstly and foremost, I can't fail to mention a couple of verses to you. The reason being, the whole essence of Ramadan will come from these two verses. You will hear every khatib, every person who's giving a lecture, if he talks about the month of Ramadan, two verses will always come to mind. The first one is that when Allah Azza wa Jalla said, "Ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun." This is the verse. Allah says, "Oh, you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you, like the people before, so that perhaps la'allakum tattaqun, that you may attain piety, fear Allah, attain piety." I mean, this is what the word taqwa means. I mean, become more God conscious. Have you heard this verse before? You all heard it before. Who hasn't heard this before? MashaAllah. Oh, you heard it now. So you heard it before. Okay, inshallah ta'ala. So this is one of the verses that you will hear, and this talks about the essence of Ramadan. In fact, the fact that we've been commanded to fast, and the fasting is, the purpose behind the fasting is so that we can become more God-fearing. The other verse is شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينة من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم. You heard this verse before, yes? This is the month in which we sent, the Quran was revealed. And it was sent as a guidance to mankind and a clarification of the guidance and a criterion for Quran. So whosoever sees this month, what should he do? He should fast. The whole basis and the essence of Ramadan can be based upon these two verses. And in fact, what we're going to touch upon in this topic today, which is the fiqh of fasting and Ramadan, we'll go back to these verses all the time. Because there are certain principles. The fiqh, you know, the scholars, when they take the fiqh, they take it from a source. It has to be ayat, verse, or it has to be a saying of the Prophet ﷺ, or something which is legitimate in al-Islam. I mean, this is where we get the sources of what we do. Are you following me when it comes to the issue of fiqh, inshallah? So alhamdulillah. So with this in mind, the first issue of fiqh for each and every one of us to understand is, when does the month of Ramadan start? Have you done your calculations yet? How far away do you think we are from the month of Ramadan? Go ahead. 3 days. I think 3 weeks.
15 days.
15 days. We're about a couple of weeks away. Yes, just a couple of weeks away. We're counting. So when is the actual date for Ramadan? Anyone know? The people in my local kebab shop, they know. The Turkish brothers, mashallah. Every year when I go in and they say Ramadan is coming around the corner, they bring out their Turkish calendar from Turkey and they say, there it is, there's Ramadan. Okay? Because they follow the calendar from where? Turkey. Okay? They follow the calendar already written on there, date to Ramadan is there. So they will tell me straight away. But is this how we determine when Ramadan is? It isn't actually like this. As the verse says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمَ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُومْ. Whoever sees the month, then what should he do? He should fast. So one of the things that the scholars say that we should do is try to look for the moon. And does anyone know what the shape of a new moon is? What is the shape of a new moon? Try and describe it. Somebody describe it to me. Is it big? Is it small? It's like a little eclipse, they say. Or we say hilal, yes? We say little crescent. The first sign of that is the beginning of the moon. So what is the full moon? What part of the month is that?
Middle.
That is the middle. It's not the beginning. So we know our moon, inshallah ta'ala. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam he takes the advice from Allah Azza wa Jal, as the verse said, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمَ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُومْ. Whoever sees the shahr, then he should fast. Which means whoever sees the moon of the month, then he should fast. So one of the things we have a problem is, when is the moon going to come? Where is it going to come? And who is authorized to spot the moon? I mean, for example, Akhi, if you were to spot the moon, am I allowed to fast by you spotting the moon? What do you think? Yes? Yes. What is the condition? Or does he have to be a scholar? Look to the time of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The people who were looking for the moon, And anyone who's been to the Arabian Peninsula, you can know the skies are much more clearer than obviously here. We have a big problem in the Northern Hemisphere because it's always cloudy, isn't it? Okay, it ruins all our day, yeah? Ruins all the sporting events, everything. It's cloudy all the time, even though it's the middle of summer. So we find cloud cover all the time, so very difficult for us to spot the moon properly. But in the Arabian Peninsula, much clearer skies. So one of the things that happened in the time of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they were looking for the moon and they didn't spot it. So none of the Sahaba, they spotted it. So a Bedouin came. Who's a Bedouin? He's a nomad. I mean, he just lives in the desert. He comes and hears the discussion. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with the kibar of the companion, I mean the great companions. They're discussing and they say they're saying no, we didn't see the moon and so on. The Bedouin comes and he says in amongst this, because they're rough people. They're really rough people. People live in the outskirts like this. They come in, they don't care who the company is, they'll just speak. So he goes, I saw the moon. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam turns to him, this Bedouin, he said, do you testify, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah? Do you testify to this? I mean, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is, because the first time he's met this person, he's asking, is he Muslim? He said, yeah, I testify, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam turns to Bilal and said, oh Bilal, give the news that Ramadan has started. Subhanallah. So this is how it works. Because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said, Ash-shahr kadhalika wa kadhalika. He said, Ash-shahr, the month is like this. Very simple for us. In Islam, it's very simple for us. A month can only be 29 days or 30. So if we're going to be out, how many days we're going to be out? 1 day. Can we be out sometimes? Can it happen? Yeah, we can be out sometimes. So how do we correct ourselves? You see the moon again and we say, oh, it looks like it's 2 days. I mean, those experts in the size of the moon and so on, they'll spot it. I remember the year I went to Hajj. One of the most important things about the Hajj is to be the right place at the right time. For example, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Hajj Arafah. What does that mean? Your whole Hajj is based on you being in Arafah at the same time. On that day. So, we were waiting, we are in our group and so on, and we're ready to go to Mina and so on and so. And then it was announced, the scholar said, we got the date wrong. 1 more day you have to wait. I mean, they announced it, we were prepared to go, they said, no, you have to wait 1 more day. Because they said the moon is not the right size. It can't be. We must have got the days wrong. So it can happen. It can happen even in Saudi Arabia. So who are we waiting to tell us about the moon at the moment? We're going to be looking to our TV channels, aren't we? Okay? I mean, if we hear it in our local mosque, maybe we accept it. But we're going to be looking to the TV channels. And most of the people in this area, I mean, in this part of the world, they're going to just follow most probably what is in Saudi Arabia. Is that not the case? Or do you differ? Okay, because it's important for us to understand, because we used to have this problem in this country before, where if you were from Pakistan, then what would happen? You'd follow which moon? The one that goes over Pakistan, okay? The sun and the moon that goes over the lovely green and white flag. That's what it is. And if you were from Bangladesh, what would we follow? The flag, yeah? We follow our flag and the moon that goes over our flag, so it's green and red. So this is how it would be. And the Turkish no doubt the same, white and red. This is what would happen. But alhamdulillah, nowadays people have become a little bit more educated. Little bit more educated, and they don't do this before. But we still find in some communities this is the same. This is not the case. We start our Ramadan with the moon, yes? And at the new month, Eid starts with what? The moon as well. Do we have this issue every year or not? We do. We do have this issue, don't we? Every year still. That people, we can't celebrate our Eid because we have allegiance to our country and so on. Well, this is not accepted. In Fiqh, this is not accepted because we have to do it by what we see in our own locality. And this is one of the things that was mentioned to Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi. That a man, he came to the area. He came to the area and he found that in the area they were still fasting. But he'd already celebrated Eid in where he'd come from. I mean, he'd come from his land where he celebrated Eid, meaning Ramadan is over, and he went to another area, which is where? In Syria, and they were still fasting. So he said, how can this be? How can it be that, and what sort of distance we're talking? This man came from the Arabian Peninsula. He went up to the northern part of it into Syria, and he said, how can this be? So Shaykh al-Islam rahmatullahi, he said, basically every land has its own moon. The time is so specific, because we're simple people. We don't rely on technology. So what do we have? We have the sun and the moon. We're just supposed to follow those signs. So every land is like this. So it's important for us to understand, because we have the same fitna every year. And inshallah ta'ala we won't have it this year because now we're becoming a little bit more united. We try to follow scholarly examples, and a lot of people, we just accept what is in Saudi Arabia, though you don't have to. But the fact is we don't have that sort of level of scholarly leadership here, that people can go out and announce it. We don't have even a united council, do we? We don't have anything like that. So that's why a lot of people, they say, we'll follow this, for example. And to be honest, they're not that far away from us anyway. So this is the first issue for us to understand when it comes to the issue of the fiqh of fasting in Ramadan, is that we have to wait until the moon comes. Now what will happen when you hear the announcement of the moon? What is the first thing that we do? What is the first thing that we do? Say you went to the mosque, you went there Maghrib. You went there Maghrib, and then what happened? The Imam will say, Alhamdulillah, the moon of Ramadan has been spotted. What do? We start fasting straight away? What is the first act of ibadah we do? Taraweeh. Okay? Just to show you that you spot the moon, and Allah Azza wa Jalla said, for the one who sees the moon, let him fast. But we find the act of ibadah we do first is actually go to pray. We actually go to pray an extra prayer, which we don't normally pray during the other times of the year. But inshallah, let me come back to that. Let me speak about the fasting first, and then we come back to that. So, who is it obliged for us to ask to fast? Who is it obliged? First and foremost, what is the main condition you think? Muslim. Agree? Lasha? Now what happens if you're Muslim, okay? And we all are Muslim, alhamdulillah, and you're at the table for iftar and you have non-Muslims there. What do? Can you give them some of your food? This is the food you're going to break your iftar with. Can you give them the food? What do you think? Who says no? Just put your hand up. Do you all think you can give, yes? That's good, mashallah, because that is the case. That is the case. The food is food. It's halal in the end of the day. The fact you're going to break your fasting with it makes no difference in that sense. It's just the barakah you're going to get. In the end of the day, we need to use these sort of times. It is a good point of da'wah even. Say you're at work and you're going to break your fast. Mind you, it's quite late now, isn't it? But some of us maybe work, security guards. Maybe we do this. Another case. I know many security guards, Muslim, they work with non-Muslims. And I've even met their colleagues come because of something or another. MashaAllah. Yeah, you may have this opportunity. So at the time of breaking, you offer. No problem. It is da'wah. What is the easiest way to get the heart of a man? Go through his belly first, maybe, sometimes. You can incline your people by just going to the belly. That's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he never hesitated. When people used to come to him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he never hesitated. Non-Muslims were given food, no problem. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would even share the cups that he would drink with the Christians. Are we better than the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? We're not. So just to explain to you, yes, Muslim is the condition to fast, but we should never ever hesitate to use this opportunity to give da'wah, which is to explain what fasting is all about. Why do we fast? The fact is, I'm a Muslim, yes, that's why I fast. Why? Because I'm commanded. Simple things like that. The fact that he sees you, the non-Muslim, or she sees you, the non-Muslimah, not eating all day, makes him curious. But us Muslims, what do? We don't talk about it. We think, just be quiet. I don't think he's going to spot. Yeah, my name is Mo, not Muhammad. He's not going to spot it. They spot everything. They spot everything. Is it not the case, brother? What do you think? Non-Muslims spot you. If you act strange, like you keep going off 2 or 3 times in the day, where you gone? Did you go for a break? No. I just want to get some water. That took 10 minutes. Water? You're going to pray. Tell the man you're praying. Come on. That's what you got to do. So the first condition, you're Muslim, but be proud that you're Muslim. Explain to people that you're Muslim. Most of the time you find their understanding. Curiosity, kills the cat. Don't let them be curious like this and then make up their own Islam. Explain to them. You're the best person. You are practicing Muslim. So this is the first condition, no doubt, that you are Muslim. The other issue is the one who fasts has to be baligh, mature. Now does that mean, what I mean when mature? I mean those who are understanding. And in Islam we say around 15 for the boys and around 12 for the girls. Now what happens, why is it that we make our children fast then earlier than that? For what reason? Habit. These things in Islam, we have a principle called tarbiyah, teaching, nurturing. With our children, we bring them up slowly. Because the time they're 15 and so they're accountable by Allah. They're accountable by Allah by that time. So what you have to do, you have to try to save them up to that point. You have to teach them morals, manners, and you have to slowly train them. And this is what you have to do. So that's the reason we do it. Not because we want hardship upon them. I mean, sometimes what we do with our children, this is what I do with my children when they were younger, now they're getting a bit older, mashallah, is I will make them fast half the day. Is that? And even in the Bengali community, we have a phrase called khayaruza. Khayaruza is a funny term, means you eat and you fast. So the child, after about 3 hours, I'm tired, I can't do this fasting. Okay, have a little sip on a date or something, continue. And he continues. And it's called khayaruza, you eat and you fast. Now why? Why? Because they're learning all the time. So yes, they're accountable. They're accountable when they're mature. But before that, you have to give the tarbiyah. And that's why, subhanAllah, if you pray, and one of the things Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us is, don't make your house graveyards. I mean, try to pray, you the men. Because I know us brothers, we like to do all our salawat in the mosque, yes? Khamsa salawat. We pray all our fara'id, and we do our sunnah, and we do our nafilah, nothing for the house. How are the children ever going to learn? Subhanallah. You do some of your sunnah in the house, what do you find? I found my daughter when she was even 1.5. My sons, when they were like 1.5 years old, they were prostrating because they watched you do it. They didn't see anything wrong with it. See, by fitrah, they inclined to this. Subhanallah. So, yes, they're not accountable until they are mature. But we teach them from a young age. So you're going to fast? You're going to fast? All of them or half of them? MashaAllah, okay. That's fine. Alhamdulillah, very good. Because I met some, mashallah, I know a lot of Turkish people. I speak to them about fasting, and sometimes they say, inshallah, I've been fasting all my life, mashallah, since 16. But this year, brother, you know what, I'm going to pray as well. And I think, mashallah, may Allah make it easy for you. I find all of this, mashallah. Alhamdulillah, I love it because I like to know about communities, how they work. And sometimes you meet people who they say, you know what, I fasted this year, next year I'm not going to fast, but I'll pray. And we swap it like this. Subhanallah. May Allah guide them. This is what I say, may Allah guide them. So this is important for us to understand that you're Muslim and mature. These are the people who are really accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third thing we need to understand is that someone has to be mentally fit. Mentally fit. Do you understand what that means? It means someone who is aqil, he is able to comprehend. Because somebody may be old and mature and so on, but if they don't understand what fasting is about, I mean they're not in that sense understanding, then what do? Allah, He lifts the pen. In Islam, we don't burden the people that Allah doesn't burden. I mean, the people who are majnoon, like they say, have mental health problems or anything like this, what do? Allah lifts the pen. Allah doesn't burden these people. Allah doesn't burden these people because it is quite stressful for them to understand. I mean, sometimes I meet people who are obviously have learning difficulties and so on, and it would take maybe 20, 30 minutes to explain wudu. Can you imagine wudu to this person? So what do you do to this person? What do you say to this person? You try a little bit and you leave it. But the person will ask over and over again. But some people, what we do, we make it a burden. We have to make sure, no, you have to be particular about this and so on. No, Allah, He lift the pen of this person. Whether he prays or not, is in the Mashiach of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just like this, we need to understand in our community. Because sometimes I find our community we're a bit harsh. Anyone with someone learning difficulties, we push them. No, you got to go and do tarawih. No, you got to do this. You got to do that. No, we have to be a little bit merciful. Let them do what they can according to their capability. Because Allah is the one who's not accounting them. Yet we account them. We account them so harshly. We shouldn't be like this. So this is the other thing that we need to understand. The other thing is that you have to be physically able as well. Which means you have to have the quwwah, the strength, to be able to fast. Because, I mean, this year the fasting is going to be roughly how many hours? Do you know? 18 hours? 18 hours, no food, no drink. You tell me. Subhanallah. And not just one day. How many days? 30 days in the month. This will take a toll. Now, one of the people we need to look at is the elderly. The elderly, subhanallah. Their bodies, this will take a toll on them. 18 hours of no food or drink, no energy coming in. And also those who are sick. I mean, they are marid. Because for them, Allah Azza wa Jal, He gives them a ruqsa. Ruqsa means like a permit. Because of the hardship that they fall. And that's what Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, Man kana maridan aw ala safarin fa'idda min ayam ukhur. For the one who is sick or a traveler, musafir, yeah? Look this, marid or musafir. What is the difference between the two? You tell me. One is sick, yes? Now the sick, you have sympathy for the sick. What about the musafir, the traveler? Do you have sympathy for him? Say somebody went to Birmingham and back. Would you expect that person to fast or not fast? Fast. Bit harsh, aren't you? Does he have to fast? No, as soon as he leaves the outskirts, maybe Luton and so on, he's musafir. I mean, he has the ruqsa not to fast. But what would you look down? If he came up to you and said, like, I'm in Luton, or something like, I'm Musafir, I'm not going to fast, what would you say? You probably look down a little bit. Okay, not to worry. I want to give you an example. When I used to work in my professional field before, I would travel the country all over. And I went all the way up to the north of England, as far as you can think, north of England. So I'm a manager at the time, and I'm going to go, and I have to go and visit this place for 2 days. I go there, and before I went, I made the decision, this is going to be too tough. Quite a few 100 miles, yeah, to drive, and by the time I get there, I don't think I'm going to be able to fast. So I am what now? I am a musafir. I'm a traveler. So I take the rukhsa, I take this permit that Allah says if you're sick or if you're traveling, what can you do? You just make up the day. I mean, it's not even a penalty, you just make up. So I thought, alhamdulillah, for these 2 days or so, because I have to go, this is something I can't miss, I'll do that. So I went up there, and obviously I worked for a non-Muslim company at that time. Alhamdulillah, I work for a Muslim company now. But alhamdulillah, no problem. Mafi mushkila in this, there's no problem in this. But I went there, but obviously I have an opportunity for da'wah. So I have an opportunity to speak to non-Muslims. And every opportunity you have, you should do. You should give da'wah. So I went there, and the managers, they saw me eating and so on and so on. And I explained, this is the month of Ramadan. But out of the mercy of God, the mercy of God is that you can go, and if you're a traveler, you're able to eat and drink and so on. So they saw me eat and so on, even though they're aware it's the month of Ramadan. The following day when I went into work, one of the managers, he comes up to me and he goes, so and so, he goes, how comes you wasn't fasting yesterday? Not a Muslim manager, yeah? He goes, how comes you wasn't fasting yesterday? I said, because I have a permit not to fast, because I'm a traveler. He goes, well, that's not what Muhammad said. I said, what do you mean? It means there's another guy working on the site. He's my colleague, yeah? But I've never met him before, but he works in the north. He goes, that's not what Muhammad said. Muhammad said that every Muslim has to fast. There's no excuse. What he said is what you've done is wrong. So I thought, subhanAllah, look at this. We're trying to give dawah to non-Muslim, and now I'm being banged by my own colleague, Muslim colleague, So anyway, I said, no, well, this is the opinion I follow, that if you travel and so on and so on. I sort of missed that. And I went up to the brother and I said, why did you say that? I just told this man, I gave him dawah, I just told him that we are permitted to do this. He goes, oh, I didn't know we were allowed to do that. I thought, subhanAllah, then do not give dawah. One of the first conditions of dawah is what? Knowledge. Subhanallah. Just to show you, this is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that one of the things Allah looks to, the one who is a musafir, the one who is a traveler, then what is it? He's lessening the capacity for his power and qudra. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy on these people. So the issue is, who else has the rukhsah? We said the traveler, we said the elderly person. Who else doesn't have to fast? You tell me, because you know this topic. You tell me. Sisters, tell me. As a rukhsah, as a permit, because I want to explain what the rukhsah means. Rukhsah means a permit. So the one, for example, who is pregnant, this is for the sisters. You have an option here, permit, because of the fact that you need to feed and so on, and because you are more frail than normal, that Allah gives you a rukhsah at this time. So what you do, you can miss the days, and even yourself, you don't, because some pregnancies, some people can be pregnant for 2-3 Ramadans in a go. So Allah gives them this rukhsah, this permit, that they miss the fast, and they don't have to make up the days, but what they do instead is to give fidyah. Do you understand what fidyah is? It's like a little penalty. Okay, fidyah is different from kafara. I'm going to explain to this, because kafara is more severe. I'm going to explain, inshallah ta'ala. So for you sisters, Allah makes it easy for you on this issue. And then even after childbirth, what does Allah do? Allah says, continue, feed your child. And we know that for you to feed your child, you have to feed. So what does Allah say? Allah says again, this is a rukhsah for you. This is what the scholars derive from this. Because the marid, the one who's sick, or the one who's incapacitated in some way, is under this category. So for you, the sister who is breastfeeding, and I'm sure you know this anyway, is that you are able to have this rukhsah, this permit, so you give the fidyah, which is to feed a poor person. What a poor person would eat every day that you miss, inshallah ta'ala. Do you know how much that is? Do you know how much the fidyah is this year? Go to any Islamic charity and they'll tell you what the fidyah is, because they will take your money for you. About £3, £3.50 or so on. This is how much you do. You have to pay for the fidyah. This is regards to rukhsah, permit. I mean, the permit, what is a permit? You can either take it or you don't have to take it. It's like the elderly person has the permit but doesn't have to. If the elderly people want to fast, they can still fast. Like mashallah, my nan, mashallah, even to this day, she hasn't missed any fast. She is shadid, severe when it comes to this. And I say to her, subhanallah, your nan, You're my man. You have a permit. She goes, no. I think I can do another year. And we've been saying this to her for the last 10 years. MashaAllah. And she goes, I think I can do another year. I pray Allah gives her long life. MashaAllah. But she has the rukhsah. She can do this. No problem. So, but who is prevented? This is what I want to ask. Who is prevented from fasting? That's what I was going to say. MashaAllah. Brother knows his thing. The one who is prevented from fasting is the women on the period. So the one who's on the haid, they cannot. So for them, what they have to do is obviously the days that they miss, they have to make up their fast. But what do they not have to make up? The salah. The prayer they don't have to make, but they have to make up the fast. So this is regards to the issue of who has to fast, regards to this topic. Now, the first thing that you will do when you want to fast is to do what? What will you need to have? Of course, mashallah. And the women who are in the state of nifas, which is mean you usually have bleeding for 40 days or so on, then you don't fast in that time as well. It's not acceptable for you to fast at that time. Jazakallah khair, brother, for I did that, inshallah. So what is the first thing you do when you want to fast? What is the first thing that you have to do? Niyyah, mashallah. How is the niyyah though? What is the niyyah? Do you actually say something or do you not have to say something? Let's take a vote here, inshallah ta'ala. Who says that we actually have to say something? Hands up. Who says we don't have to? Hands up. Who's not decided? Because a lot of you haven't put your hands up. Not decided. Yeah. You actually don't have to say a thing. Because the niyyah is where? The place for the niyyah is always in the heart. Subhanallah. But sometimes people say, oh Allah, I'm going to fast. This is fine. Sometimes people, even when they pray, because even when you pray, you don't have to say anything. But you say, oh Allah, I'm going to pray Asr. Because sometimes people, they get mixed up in the niyyah. Did I pray Asr? Did I pray Dhuhr? And so on. But with the Ramadan fasting, the scholars, they say that as long as you made, like in the Hanafi school, the niyyah to fast the whole month of Ramadan is khalas. No more niyyah is intended. I mean that you do in the beginning of Ramadan, I'm going to fast the whole month of Ramadan. As long as you're fasting, that niyyah is, alhamdulillah, kifaya, it's sufficient for you. But some of the other schools of thought, they say no. They say, what do you have to do? Every time you do a fast, different niyyah. Different niyyah. Like the salah, every time you do a salah, you have to have a different niyyah. So this is the case. So the issue is the suhoor. What is the suhoor? Morning food. It's not like breakfast. Usually we have breakfast after the sun is up. But it's the food you have before Fajr, mashallah. Is this part of the niyyah or not part of the niyyah? What do you think? Some people, they say this is part of the niyyah. Others say no. The fact is, the suhoor can be part of the niyyah, but doesn't have to be. Main thing is the one who had suhoor, we don't have suhoor at any other time, do we? So even if he forgot something in his mind, the fact that he had suhoor, the scholars say he would not do this at any other time. So the issue is, the one who does the suhoor, he has made intention anyway. And the suhoor is something that we're not allowed to miss, as the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's something sunnah mu'akkada, something highly stressed. Because the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said, fi suhoor barakah. We want all the blessings we can get in this month. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, in the suhoor is barakah, there's blessing in having this meal. Because we have a habit now, don't we? What do? We come home after Taraweeh, we have a nice chapatis, we have a rice and curry, or some samosa, whatever we have, and they eat, and that's it, khalas. Some people are in the habit of this, aren't they? They do this, yet they could have waited a few more hours. I wanted to explain to you how barakah works. That person, he ate maybe 3-4 hours before he could have. And a man, he wakes up and he takes a sip of drink and a date or something. Look to this. You watch these two people. The one who ate 4 or 5 hours before he could have, and the one who ate just before. You watch the one who suffered. Who do you think is going to suffer more? You tell me. The one who ate hours before, even though he ate more, because there was not the barakah in that. The barakah is the blessing. Sometimes we find that we eat a little bit, alhamdulillah, Allah keeps us going. This is called blessing. This is called having blessing in food. That's why sometimes I look to some brothers, maybe some sisters are the same. My wife will have to vouch, inshallah. They eat and they eat and they eat, and they're not satisfied. It's like they got a bottomless stomach. And sometimes I think, you know what I think? I think this person didn't start off with Sami Billah. He didn't start off with Bismillah. Because if you start with Bismillah, subhanallah, after a short while, your body tells you, oh, give me a break. Have some mercy of Allah. But people who don't, you find they eat and they eat and they eat. Because void of barakah. The food has the blessing. The food has the blessing. And that's why we are taught even how to eat. Ya hulam Sami Billah. Kul bi yaminik mimma yalik. Oh young lad, start in the name of Allah and eat with your right hand. Now the billah, people when we see with the left hand, subhanallah, right hand, and you eat, the barakah is what? You start from what is close to you, subhanallah. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told us, have the suhoor, because there is barakah. So the other issue is, now you do your suhoor, and you wake up in the morning and you got the intention. One of the things that the Sahaba were, they found themselves junub. So they had the suhoor and their junub and fajr, the adhan came. What is their situation? I mean, the fajr for the time has come. Is their fast valid or not? I mean, the state of junub, which means ritual impurity. What do we say? Yes. Valid or not valid? Valid. Who says not valid? That's just picking your ear. Okay, no worries, inshallah ta'ala. I tell you why this is important. Because the Sahaba in the beginning of Ramadan, they knew that the Ramadan is all about imsak, staying away from food and drink. So during the day they used to do this. And even the women, which is halal for you, and obviously only married brothers will understand what I'm coming about, going on about here, is you can't even approach them. Okay? So they knew this. But in the night, they were doubtful. Can we sleep with our wife during the night time? They were very shy to ask the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some were very shy, and others, they were worried that if they asked, what would happen? Become haram. So it's best not to ask. And amongst them was Umar al-Khattab. He's shadid, yeah? Ashuddum fi amrillah. He's the one who's harsh when it comes to the law of Allah. But he didn't want to miss his opportunity with his wife with the night. So they were continuing to have cohabitation. And some of them, what would happen? They were making the ghusl after the fajr had entered and so on. So it became apparent. So Allah revealed the verse, Hunna libas lakum wa antum libas lahun. They are like your garments. I mean, when this verse came, that they, the women, are like your garments, and you are like their garments. I mean, go to each other, be close to each other. When was this revealed? In the month of Ramadan, it became apparent, and the Sahaba, they saw, alhamdulillah. Because Allah wasn't shy to mention. But before that, what were they doing? They were being very sneaky and not mentioning anything that they were doing to our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in answer, yes. In answer, if you wake up in the state of junub, main thing is that you have your suhoor and you make your intention to fast, and that you don't, but you can make your ghusl thereafter, even just up to the point of before sunrise, and you pray your fajr like that. You can do this, inshallah. So this is the main aspect of fasting. And obviously not to forget that the virtuous fast is the one who does what? He's conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No point us just being hungry or thirsty and we don't do any imanic act throughout the day. In fact, we start to do shaitanic act. Like we like to gossip, backbite, waste time. Some people, even they fast, and because the hours are too long, they watch a few movies. They just waste time. Is that the time we're supposed to spend? Like the Prophet said, we've got how many hours? 18 hours, subhanallah. 18 hours. To do what? Good stuff. It's a shame that we have this mentality that we're not having no food. It's like we switched off. And unfortunately, this is the culture in the Muslim countries. If you go to Muslim countries, our Muslim countries, what do you find during the month of Ramadan? You find during the month of Ramadan, daytime, everything closed. Everything closed. Come after iftar, what happened? Everything opens up. So if you want to go and buy something, you can't buy anything. And I think this is generally any hot country anyway nowadays. During the daytime, you can't find anything. I remember when I went to do Umrah with my family. In my Umrah package, I had 2 days in Jeddah. Obviously, you know, Makkah, Medina, 24/7, what? Always open, yes? Because of the people that go there. I thought Jeddah would be the same. So just before I came, I took my family. I thought, we spend a couple of days in Jeddah and we see what happens. Come the midday, I took my family and let's go and find some food. This place closed. Okay, maybe another place. This place closed. Okay, khalas, don't worry about the food. Let's go and do a little bit of shopping. Go to the shopping malls. What's happened to all the shopping malls? All closed. Subhanallah. It's like they say, only the English are mad to go out in the midday sun. I felt like an Englishman on that day. We went in the midday sun, everything closed. Because this is the culture that we have. Well, it shouldn't be. Subhanallah. We are supposed to be people, we utilize the time. Allah took away from us some of the worldly delights that we like and the thing that preoccupy us most of the time. Subhanallah. Food, drink, women, all of these things, they preoccupy them. Allah took those away and said, no. This time you spend with me. So what is one of the best acts we can do during the month of Ramadan? Quran, mashallah. Dhikr, ibadat. We can do lots of these sort of things. So this is what we are supposed to utilize the time, because the whole purpose of the fasting was لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can become God-fearing. So that's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us that Allah is no need of you leaving the drink, leaving the food, if what you're going to do is be evil for the rest of the day. I mean, Allah has no need for you. I mean, you're going to be someone backbiting, being horrible to people. Allah has no need. Why leave the food and the drink just to do that? See how severe it is. That's why on one occasion when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in the presence of the people, 2 women came. Now, there's not having a go at the women, okay? But 2 women came, okay? And they came and they complained of stomachache. Stomachache. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, bring 2 buckets. No sooner did the buckets come, the women started to vomit. What were they vomiting? Meat and blood. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, these 2 people, they have not been doing good acts. Through the day they were fasting, they were abstaining from food and drink, but they were eating of the flesh from their fellow Muslims. They abstained from water, but they were drinking the blood of the fellow Muslims. So in front of everyone, a mu'jiza, a miracle. Because they were involved in ghiba, backbiting, and namima, slandering. Ghiba, backbiting, is to say evil of people. To say something even that your Muslim brother wouldn't like to hear. And to slander, to just spread things. I mean, just made up, totally made up. And this is what happens when people have idle time. This is what happens. One of the things that we have in culture, did you hear? No, I didn't hear. Do you want to hear? No, I don't want to hear. Save me, please. You don't need to hear. A Muslim doesn't have to busy himself in everything. Did you hear? No, I didn't hear. I don't want to hear. It's not my concern. Why? Because a Muslim is the one other Muslims are protected from. A Muslim man salima muslimun min lisanihi wa yadihi. The Muslim is the one, the other Muslims are safe from you. So this is what Allah Azza wa Jalla is intending for us in the month of Ramadan, that we are abstaining from food and drink, but also we are people able to increase in taqwa. So we mentioned the issue of the Quran, and obviously one of the things that we're going to be listening to the Quran a lot is in Taraweeh. But before we can get to Taraweeh, we have to decide how many rakats we're going to pray. Before we can get to listen to the Quran and mashallah the Huffaz, we have to work out how many we have to pray. So this is the big mushkila every year that we have. Some masajid, they pray how many? 8. And the other? 20. And some more, they pray 36. Who pray 36? Maliki. So come Ramadan, everyone becomes Hanafi. Or they become Hanbali. We can't do 36. Yes, this is the same problem that we have. Every year is how many? And you know, like the Hanafi mosque, they do 20 anyway. They do 20 rakats. They get very annoyed when those brothers want to pray 8, they go. And not only do they want to go and pray 8, where are they? Are they at the back of the congregation? Where are they? Right at the front. So they get very annoyed every year, because if you're going to do that, okay, you're going to pray 8, you're going to disturb everyone leaving. Why are you doing this? And also, if you're going to pray 8, they get very annoyed. Why you come to our mosque? You have to decide what you want to do. Obviously, we can't limit people like this, but this is the big problem that we have every time. And this is why? Because of the shortfall in our understanding. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what he did in the time of the Sahaba, he came out and did he pray Taraweeh with the Sahaba? How many occasions did he pray?
3 days.
3 days, yes. Some say 2, sometimes say 3. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came and prayed, and he said after the 3rd day, thereafter, he didn't come and pray. The Sahaba were waiting. How did they pray? In congregation. So the Sahaba, they continued to do their own nafilah and so on. But Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never ever prayed in congregation thereafter. So when he was after the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, why is it? We were looking forward to you and you leading us in Taraweeh. Why is it that you stopped? And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said, I stopped because I was afraid Allah Azza wa Jalla will make it fard. It's actually not fard, by the way, just so people know. Many people think it is actually fard. No, it is sunnah. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he stopped so that he wouldn't become fard. So one of the people who are always concerned for the Ummah is who? Umar al-Khattab. Radiallahu ta'ala. Ashadduhum fi amrillah. He's the harshest when he came to the Commandments of Allah. You know, like, I'll give you an example. When people pray salah, the easiest salah to miss is what? Those that are nafilah. Is not the case. First touch of a bit of flu or a cough, what happens? This person, I'm marid. Forget about even qiyam. I'm doing all my salah sitting down. We start any excuse. We won't persevere. We'll do this. So one of the things that people easily miss is the sunnah. And that's why Allah Azza wa Jalla tests your iman. The salah that has the most sunnah is which salah? Which salah? No, in the sunnah, in the faraid. Dhuhr has a lot of sunnah, yes? Sunnah muakkada, ghayr muakkada. It has a lot of extra, because this is the time you're most busy. And you think, subhanAllah, oh Allah, you could have made it easy for me. Yes? You could have just made it even 2 rakat, but Allah doesn't. This is the main time of your day, and Allah wants you to think about Allah at that time. So Allah gives you many sunnah. But Yawm al-Jummah, what do we find on Yawm al-Jummah? Yawm al-Jummah, for some schools, only 2 rakat. And there's no sunnah at all. No sunnah at all. So Allah has mercy for you on this day. But so look, one of the things that people, whenever they become weak in iman, one of the first thing that goes, first sign of someone's weakness in iman is the salah. First sign of weakness in salah is that the man who used to pray in Jama'at, he's not there anymore. This is a test. And the first salah that will go is the Fajr salah. If he was to pray any salah in Jama'at, the Fajr salah will go. So this is one of the first things. People start missing praying in Jama'at. And not just that, after a while, once they stop praying in Jama'at, meaning the mosque, where there's more rewardable, they pray in the house, slowly all of the sunnah starts to go. So one of the things Umar al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he did, he saw how the ummah was, and his foresight, look, this was his foresight. He saw the ummah, they were praying some here, some were praying there, and so on. So he said to his companions, wouldn't it be better if we got them behind one ummah, one imam, like one ummah, like in the time of a Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The Sahaba, they agreed. No one before that gave that thought. So it was Umar in his caliphate, he decided Ubay bin Ka'b, he would be the one who would lead. And when he saw this, he was so joyous. He said, what? Ni'mah bid'ah. He said, a blessing, a good bid'ah, innovation we have made. So a lot of people, they use this to say, look, this was an innovation. Never in the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Because Umar, he stipulated how many rakats? 20 rakats. Not 8, 20. So he said it's a good innovation. So people ask, why is it that Umar, he increased the rakat? Why did he increase the rakat? Because the Sahaba, they understood the deen better than you and I. The Taraweeh, what we call as Taraweeh, throughout the other times of the year has another name. In the last third of the night, we call it Tahajjud. When we do it without to even sleep, we call it Qiyamul Layl. We mean stand up all for them. The Sahaba knew it existed for them anyway. But only in the time of Ramadan, we call it Taraweeh. And the Sahaba, they used to do much through the night. So Umar, in his foresight, he said, we will make it 20 rakat. And the rakat is always in 2s, not in 4. The sunnah, any nafilah, is 2s. I know the Hanafi, they accept some as 4, but generally it is 2s, to give you a break. Taraweeh means to have a rest. Means it becomes enjoyable. Obviously we know the Imam, he does 1 juz, does he not in Taraweeh? Yes, in the one day he does 1 juz. See how enjoyable it is when he breaks it up for us. We can have more ruku, sujood, we have break. Taraweeh is supposed to be something enjoyable. So we can see the Taraweeh, there's no issue for us really. It can be 8, it could be 20, it can be 36, because it is nafilah. It is something voluntary. Do as much as you can, subhanallah. And this is the understanding that Umar al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he had. He had this understanding about the Taraweeh, and that's why it's fixed. That's why don't you see even today in the Haramain, how many rakat do they do? But the people who follow their school of thought, how many do they believe? 8. When it comes to this point of ikhtilaf, do you understand? The majority, they can go with this. Majority of the people, they were upset. So in the end, they said, no problem, because it is nafilah in the end of the day. So inshallah ta'ala, this is to explain to us about the issue of the Taraweeh. The last thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about more or less the last 10 days or the 10 nights of Ramadan, though it needs a topic in itself to explain Laylatul Qadr, so I'm not going to speak about that. But I want to speak about the act of i'tikaf. Do you know what i'tikaf is? Anyone been to i'tikaf before? I know a lot of the brothers here. Anyone intending to go? Yeah, I know you do, mashallah. No one else want to do i'tikaf? Do you not know what the reward is of i'tikaf? I might join you, you know that, inshallah. Let me know who you are, I might join you. Yeah, what do you think? I might join you this time. Even if it's for 1 day. Do it for 1 day, I'll tell you why. Because the reward is so immense. If we knew the reward, I mean, I think people don't know what the reward is. That's why they leave it. The reward is, subhanAllah, firstly, the one who goes, i'tikaf. Do you understand what i'tikaf is? No. Inshallah ta'ala. Brother, we're going to have a nice little chat afterwards, inshallah. I'tikaf is, you're going to spend a day and night in a mosque. I mean, we're not going to go and pray there. We're going to spend the day. We're going to eat. We're going to do everything we have to do in a mosque. Inshallah, invite the brother, yes? I'tikaf is you go into seclusion. You go into seclusion and you're in the mosque and it's just you and God and the believers amongst you. So what do? You get benefit from this. All you're doing, nothing else. You're going to be fasting. You're going to be doing your salah in jama'ah and maybe spend time with some good brothers that teach you the deen, or you read your Quran. I'tikaf. But the reward, subhanAllah, the reward is this, that first and foremost, Allah Azza wa Jal, He puts 3 khandah, 3 trenches between you and the hellfire for one day. I'tikaf. You go into the mosque for one day and one night, what happens? I'tikaf. Allah puts 3 trenches. I mean, the hellfire has to go through 3 trenches to get to you. And the distance of each one of these trenches is like it from the earth to the heavens. I mean, the hellfire is not going to come nowhere near you, subhanAllah. May Allah give us the tawfiq to do i'tikaf. And also, the reward, the hasanat, for the one who does i'tikaf, is that they will be given the reward of 2 hajj and 2 umrah. And you know what the reward of the accepted hajj is? Al-hajj mabrur laysa lahu jaza illa al-jannah. You get in paradise. So it's an opportunity we should never miss, because i'tikaf traditionally is linked to Ramadan, and especially the last 10 days. We don't say the night, last 10 days. I mean, after the 20th day, you start to go in, and you do in that time Maghrib, you go in and you do i'tikaf. So inshallah ta'ala is something recommended for us, highly recommended, and I pray Allah gives us this tawfiq. But the issue is now, who does the i'tikaf? Who is it permissible for, or what are the conditions? This is the last point I want to speak about today. And inshallah ta'ala, if there's any other questions you have, Q&A will answer that, inshallah ta'ala. So have some patience, inshallah ta'ala. So i'tikaf, first and foremost, i'tikaf is for brothers and sisters. Did you know that, sisters? Your i'tikaf, you didn't know, sister, but your i'tikaf has to be in a mosque. The i'tikaf of the sister cannot be in the house. Your salah is good in the house. Even if you was to pray your tarawih in your house, better than in the mosque. But I think we are an ummah today, we are so far away from the revelation that sometimes even for the sisters it's good to go to the mosque. I tell you why, it increases you to hear live recitation. But if you want the ajr and you're someone strict on the ajr, you pray. Buyutuhunna khayruhunna. Your house is better for you if you pray. But i'tikaf has to be in a masjid. And the condition of the masjid differ. But the main thing is the masjid has to have the facilities, prayer 5 times a day. So we don't hire a hall and we say we do i'tikaf in this hall. Okay, we don't do this. So it has to be a masjid, 5 times salawat, and preferably with the facilities there for you to wash and so on. But if he doesn't have, you have a rukhsah to go out to wash but come back. Preferably. Alhamdulillah, we have very good established mosques and massages now that have these sort of facilities. So we should take this opportunity. So first and foremost, we have to find a mosque. And I want to warn you from now on, very difficult to get in nowadays. The mosques are very stringent of who they take in. They have a lot of policies. You have to do a form and so on and so on. So if you're intending to do this, get the forms and inshallah ta'ala fit it in. It's not because they're spying on you and so on. They are in charge of you. They are your hosts. The people of the mosque, they're your hosts. They need to be able to look after you. If you were to fall ill and so on, they need to know who to contact. They need to know your medical condition if you're ill. They have all of these facilities. In one mosque where I am, they have what is known as a defibrillator. Do you know what defibrillator is? When you have a heart attack, they say in the case of a heart attack, if you don't get to the hospital within 5 minutes, you're almost dead. I mean, you'll be brain dead. There's no chance of you surviving. So one of the things is, if an ambulance doesn't come at that time, we do what? CPR. Anyone first aider here? First aider? Yeah, so we know CPR. But you know, when they taught us CPR, they gave us a dummy. Did you do first aid? Okay, first aid. Okay, they gave you a dummy, okay? And they say press. So you push and nothing happening. They said you haven't pushed out. Nothing happening. They say push harder, and when you really put all your weight on, then you realize you can actually move the rib cage. And they said in some cases when you do CPR like this, one of the things that you end up doing, you break the rib cage. You almost break the sternum and everything. But that's the only way to massage the heart, unless you have one of these electronic machines. So even the mosques, they have these now. Big massages, they have this now. Because they keep it for your own benefit, for you looking after your welfare. So inshallah ta'ala, we need to find a mosque that will facilitate us like this. Now, the intention is in at Fajr, but you enter. What time did you enter when you did i'tikaf, brother? What time did you enter the mosque? Asr. You entered Asr, yeah. It has to be before Maghrib. So you make the intention in the morning and you have to enter around Asr. And then when do you leave? You have to leave after When did you leave the i'tikaf when you came out? After Maghrib. Just so you know. I'm asking you because you know, you refresh yourself, inshallah. This is what you have to do. This is the time. So if you make the intention, this is the intention. How is the intention? As the Shaykh said here earlier, in the heart. Yes, in the heart. Hahuna. Just there. That's what you have to do, inshallah. What is permissible, what is not permissible is important for us. Obviously, you are fasting, and anything linked to fasting, you're permissible to do. But the only thing is, when you go into i'tikaf, one of the things you're not allowed to do, is wear perfume. Not allowed to wear perfume. One of the things, you're not allowed to wear attar and so on. So it's quite difficult, yes? The other thing that you're not allowed to do is trading. So don't be like some people, they go in i'tikaf and they got 5-6 bags with them. What is this? Well, I'm just selling some attar, I'm selling some books, some tasbih, I'm selling. No, not allowed. Not allowed to do this. The other thing you're not allowed to do is to leave the mosque for what you would do normally. I mean, if you were to go and visit the sick, which is something virtuous, not allowed to do this. If you hear somebody was to die, what would we normally do? Salatul Janazah, and we would follow the body to the grave. We're not allowed to do these things. I mean, what you would normally do is prohibited. And obviously it means, so you're not allowed. So this is very, very tough, I know. This is very tough. So you're not allowed to do these sort of things. What you will do, you will stay in the mosque, and obviously women are prohibited for you at this time. This is in brief, in summary, in a nutshell, what we talked about, the ahkam regarding i'tikaf. Obviously, if you have any specific questions, we will answer them as well. So one of the things that we mentioned was in the Fiqh Ramadan, we mentioned the issue of the moon sighting. The other thing we mentioned was the issue of fasting and who should fast. The other thing we mentioned was the Taraweeh. Need I mention the issue of Quran? I'm sure you will understand this is the month of Quran. And then we mentioned the final issue, which was the issue of i'tikaf. Brother, you asked me to put it in a concise manner. Sometimes we can give it in a concise manner. We, the people who study fiqh, we can give it like this. No problem for us. But maybe for you, the audience, it can be hardship. Because the pace we go, and sometimes it's a lot. But inshallah ta'ala, have sabr with us. And obviously make dua for us, inshallah ta'ala, that Allah increase all of us in enlightenment. And inshallah ta'ala, we pray that we have a very good Ramadan, mashallah, and that we are people who love Ramadan for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we prepare for Ramadan. This is the way to look into Ramadan, because the Sahaba, this is how they look towards Ramadan. They prepared. So inshallah ta'ala, today was really to motivate you to prepare properly and to know exactly what to do at the right time, at the right manner. I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq. Wa quli qawli hadha, astaghfirullah wa lakum.
Brothers, raise your hands for questions, and sisters write it down. The sisters got there before, so I'm going to start with the sisters, inshallah. Okay, mashallah. 2 brothers there. You okay? If you are diabetic and on medication, can I still try to fast?
Mashallah, if you are diabetic, can you still try to fast? This one again, diabetes is a very severe condition. You need to understand that. Obviously, if you have relatives who are diabetes, you know what diabetes can do. It's called marad al-sukar. It's called marad al-sukar, the disease or the condition related to sugar. Diabetes, anyone who is diabetic, go and seek some medical advice first because of your condition. There are 2 types of diabetes. Type 1, which means you are insulin. You have to take insulin. And type 2, which is you may take tablets and so on. And even some type 2, they do injection. The whole idea and the issue is the diabetic person, so one of the conditions of the diabetic person is that they always feel thirsty. Okay, so one who's diabetic is thirsty. Now one of the things we have to do is stop drinking. So if a condition of diabetes that you have to drink, you need to look to how severe your diabetes is. So this is one of the things. The other thing is that anyone who knows anyone diabetic, is not that they're always thirsty, that they're always hungry. Anyone diabetic, because I used to think my parents are both diabetic, by the way. So I used to look to them and I used to think, subhanallah, why are you like this, Dad? Why are you like this and so on? And then when I found out about diabetes, I thought I had a lot of rahmah for him. I used to think, why is it that you munch a little bit here, munch a little bit there? But you know what? He was really clever. Because he didn't used to have like cakes and that all the time. With a bit of fruit, bit of salad and so on. He would munch. Because one of the conditions of the diabetic person is that they're always hungry. Because the problem they have is when they eat something, they're not getting the energy from it. They only get a bit of energy. The rest comes out in other ways. So for the diabetic person, I would say, depending on your condition, what should you do? Go and seek medical advice. Now the question is, am I allowed to take injection? Am I allowed to take the injection? If this controls it, am I allowed to fast? The scholars, they ikhtilaf on this issue, but the opinion I follow is the injection doesn't actually, as long as it's something medical, okay, it doesn't break your fast. So you can take the injection, and if you have the capability, you can continue. But I say in this case, because it is something quite severe, diabetes can lead to blindness, can even lead to you losing feelings in your legs, which means amputated. And imagine this over a period of 30 days. So seek medical advice and take the medical advice. If you're not able to fast, don't feel bad. Although some people who have diabetes are very big, they think I've got strength. But no, at this time you are sick. So seek the advice and pay the fidya. The fidya is that you feed a poor person every time that you miss the fast. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
Is it allowed to feed homeless and needy people in Ramadan?
Is it allowed?
That are Muslim.
Is it allowed to feed homeless and needy people that are Muslim?
And yeah, that's the first question. Then there'll be a question based on your response.
Alright, sorry.
So let's repeat.
Is it allowed to feed homeless and needy? Because we have a homeless and needy project here every 2 weeks on Thursdays, and some of them are Muslim. Are we allowed to feed them in Ramadan?
Okay, mashallah, alhamdulillah, salatu wasalam ala rasulillah. Is it allowed to feed them? Yes. This is talking about, are they non-Muslim mainly?
And we're talking about the Muslims.
And to Muslims, yeah, you can feed them, but the thing is, even the one who is poor, he has to fast. Do you understand? Because it doesn't cost him anything to fast. The poor and the needy, we help them in what time? In the time when they need nafaka, provision. I give example. One of the things that we should do is even before Salatul Eid comes, we should give what? Zakatul Fitr. It's a zakat that we give. Who do we give this zakat to? The poor people. Why do we give it to them? So that they can enjoy the day of Eid. This is what we give. We give them provision for that period. So, yes, we can feed the poor and the needy, but what we should do, we should also be people who are piety and command good and forbid evil. If it's non-Muslim, they are not under no obligation to fast. You feed them anytime you want. But if it's Muslim, they are still obliged, even though they are poor, to fast. So this is the condition, you need to understand. Because being poor is not one of the rukhsah, or the permits given for not fasting. And that's why, subhanAllah, the poor, because they still practice, because of the condition, they're the first peoples. They're first people from amongst the Ummah to enter Jannah. Because they still have this patience. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. You did answer it in regards to diabetes, but I'd like to ask you something else about diabetes. In your experience, anyone who's first done a Ramadan and has been diabetic, what has been their process of 8 hours a day? Because it seems a big adjustment. Do you think it's possible for somebody, I'm type 2, it's me.
Okay, that's fine.
And is it possible to achieve that?
Okay,
the question is, someone who's type 2 diabetic, is it possible to achieve an 18-hour fast?
Again, type 2 diabetes has various ways of controlling it. It can be that sometimes in the early stages they tell you, the doctor, what you should do is control your diet. Take this certain type of diet and you're able to control it, which means you're able to control hunger pangs, you're able to control, for example, going to the loo quickly. They tell you this is one way of doing it, just by controlling the type of food that you eat. Others, they have to move on to tablets. Without the tablets, they cannot function. So they give you certain times when you should have the tablet. And others, they need to inject. Now, 18-hour day is a long day. But it all depends how stringent and how much you're reliant upon the medicine for controlling it. Because if the medicine is able to help you control it, and it doesn't cause you to suffer from thirst or from hunger or to cause you to go to the loo a lot, because all of these things, and doesn't cause you in harm, because the harm is the thing we're trying to avoid. Because the body, what happens with the diabetic person is when they starve themselves, it causes them damage. It's like the body eating itself up. And it's not like, for example, with the athlete or anything. The diabetic person is sick, so you start going at the good parts of the body. So this is why we have to take medical advice. So depending on your condition yourself, I would say first and foremost, definitely worth you going to visit your doctor to consult them. Doesn't matter if your doctor is Muslim or non-Muslim. They know about fasting. Because we're not the only people who fast. Allah said the other people fast. Jews and Christians fast. Even you find even Hinduism, they fast. Every people fast. Fasting is not something unknown. So go to your doctor, say my condition, and usually the one who's diabetic has a plan. They have a plan. The doctor is monitoring you. So you would go and say and explain your situation, and they would be the best person to advise you. But by all means, you can try 1 or 2 days. If you don't want to do that, you can try 1 or 2 days. If you find it too tough, then be honest. Because your health matters more to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You've been given the permit. You're someone marid, feed someone poor. Look after yourself. Because you're able to worship Allah in other ways. You're able to do charity. You're able to pray. You're able to do a lot of other good things. Then you will get so much reward in the month of Ramadan. And Allah knows best. You're welcome.
do two for the sisters. Can you brush your teeth whilst fasting?
Can you brush your teeth while fasting? Difference of opinion. The reason people ask about the fasting is the issue is taste. Does you tasting something break your fast? This is the main thing. So, to answer this, actually tasting something would mean not out of necessity. Like for example, miswak. We are allowed to use miswak throughout the year, even in the month of Ramadan. Does miswak have a taste? It does have a taste. Does it break your fast? It doesn't break your fast. Main thing is that you don't swallow it. Okay, so you just use it. Likewise, the toothpaste is the same. It's there for a purpose to clean. Can you use it after the time you fast? Yes, you can. The main thing is that you don't swallow. Because the swallowing is the thing that breaks your fasting. So what do? You can use toothpaste. But all you do, you make sure that you gargle and so on, and there's no remnant of it, and you continue, inshallah. So to answer your question, yes, you can. And it can be quite refreshing through the day. Because trust me, I mean, Allah appreciates your breath. But if you're at work, maybe your colleague won't, and so on. And definitely some people, they can't tolerate it. So inshallah, have mercy on the other people as well. If not, use the miswak. If you're a bit dubious about the answer, use miswak at least. No, the scholars are unanimous that the miswak is masnoon, something accepted from Al-Islam.
One from the sisters. Can women pray Tarawih in a mosque behind the Imam?
Yes. Can women pray? Yes. If you go to pray in the mosque, you should be praying behind the Imam. You don't do your own congregation in the mosque. Okay? This is the way. SubhanAllah, we find today with the advent of technology and so on, us Muslims, what's happened with the mosque? Mosque has gone backwards. The mosque is going back and back and back. First they had a chamber for the woman, now they close the chamber for the woman. Woman wants to come and ask the Imam a question. Now they stop even the woman coming to ask the Imam. They say, do by email, I don't want to see you. How backwards have we become in the mosque? Whereas the Sahaba and the Sahabiyat, they prayed in Masjid al-Nawawi, no barriers. They could see each other. All that was asked is that when the takbir went, and they went into ruku, the women went into ruku first. Why? So that they wouldn't see the Sahabas bending down. Can you see? So, should the women pray behind the Imam? You are obliged to pray behind the Imam. You don't do your own congregation. That's what you should do. Yes, when you're in the mosque, you go and pray, and you pray behind the same Imam, and you're able to hear the Imam, inshallah. And Allah knows best.
Brothers, if you've got a question, just raise it.
That's regarding diabetes.
Sure.
Someone asked if I can control, I can manage my diabetes, but sometimes I find I'm like shaking or thirsty. In that case, if I break the fast, would I be doing the kafara or just giving fidya?
MashaAllah, very good, alhamdulillah.
Can you repeat the question? Right, basically, the brother was asking regarding diabetes again. Must be quite popular thing.
No, it's a very popular
if someone's fasting and they find it very difficult during the fast, if they break their fast, do they have to pay kafara or?
Okay,
what's the answer?
I'm really glad you asked that question because I wanted to explain the issue of kafara and fidya. Fidya is just a penalty. I mean, the one who has a permit, he has to just make up another day, or he can feed a poor person. Okay, this is called fidya. Kafara is something more severe. Kafara is the one who intentionally breaks the fast. I mean, someone intentionally breaks the fast. I mean, intentionally eats or intentionally drinks, or he doesn't even fast. I mean, some people, they don't fast, which means they intentionally ate. Okay, so what does this person have to do? He can't pay fidya. He has to do what is known as kafara. For every day that he missed like this, because intentionally he missed it, he has to make up 60 days. Wow, that's tough, isn't it? 60 days. Or what he has to do is feed 60 people every day that he missed. So this is what is known as kafara. So to answer your question, brother, this person who is sick, has diabetes, he is trying, but he's not able to. It is his sickness that overcoming, so we say he has to do fidya, not kafara, because he is still counted amongst al-marid, those who are sick. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
One last one, I think, from sisters. Do you know any mosques that does itikaf for sisters in Ramadan?
Inshallah ta'ala. Okay, we're going to have to name a few, inshallah ta'ala.
I don't know any
mosques, but I think the two main mosques that we know in London especially, I'm sure they would have that facility. I haven't checked, so Allahu alim, but I would ask you to check the two main ones, the one in Regent Park and the one in East London. I would ask you to check because they have huge facilities now for women, the Muslimat. Okay, inshallah ta'ala. So one of the things that you should do is check with them. But if not, you may be surprised, you know that. You may be surprised your local mosque will have facilities. You may be surprised, they may have it. just ask, inquire. It doesn't harm you. But I know where we live, we have about 5-6 mosques. Maybe you have allegiance to one mosque because you pray that it's a close one. But you want to do i'tikaf, go and ask the other mosque at that time. No problem. Ask. All of the mosques are house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I would say for the best thing for you, sister, is to ask in your own locality. But if not, I know definitely the big two, they have facilities. But whether they're going to offer it this Ramadan, Allah knows best. I would ask you to go and check on their website, inshallah, or even give them a call. And Allah knows best.
Just a quick question, inshallah. Did you say you're not allowed to wear attar during itikaf?
One of the things that some of the people they say is that during the last 10 days, okay, this is the ikhtilaf on this issue that they say you be using perfume and so on.
What about when you shower? You use shower gel.
You can use normal products, but you're not supposed to use anything other than like perfumes and so on. You're not supposed to use this. Okay. Again, this is something I found amongst the people. Some of the scholars, they say that you shouldn't wear attar and so on. It all depends. I mean, for these things, I said maybe look into a little bit more, inshallah ta'ala. And if you want, you can contact me. Okay, but this is there's a huge difference amongst the school of the thoughts, among the Shafi and Hanafi or along this sort of thing.
After Maghrib?
No, I'll give you an example. One of the things that people say this is because a lot of the time people do Qurbani as well. They do Qurbani, they put their name down for Qurbani as well during the last. So one of the things they link is like because of these sort of conditions. But obviously there's no Qurbani in this one. But what they say is there's a lot of condition that when people say they vow to do something, then they abstain themselves from some things like that. So the i'tikaf is like one of those things. The people, they say they're going to do i'tikaf, so they abstain from those things that they would normally do. So from amongst this, one of the things that I found is the perfume. Inshallah, Allah knows best.
Is there evidence?
There is evidence for this. There is evidence for this, yes.
Yeah,
there is evidence for this. But like I said, this is amongst the i'tikaf. I mean, ikhtilaf. Ikhtilaf on the i'tikaf, inshallah. Allah knows best.
One last question, it's got nothing to do with Ramadan, but we'll finish on this inshallah. Is the niqab fard?
Nothing to do with Ramadan, absolutely nothing to do with Ramadan, and a very controversial topic. Yeah. Is the niqab fard? For some people, yes, it is fard. This is what the scholars say. Another say is sunnah, another say not necessary at all. It depends on what school of thought you follow. What opinion do I follow? I don't believe it's fard. Okay? But I have no animosity to people who want to wear it. It's not like I'm in the camp. But I think, for example, the camp that says it is fard, and to belittle other people, I think this is a wrong idea because there is huge ikhtilaf on this issue. From a point of view of studying with the scholars and so on, even they differ because they bring the same evidence. The same evidence is brought to say niqab is fard, and the same evidence is brought to say niqab is not fard. They use the same evidences. So it depends on the understanding. The understanding that I have, it is not fard. Okay, and obviously it's a big issue when you marry as well, because you may marry someone who doesn't believe it's fard either. So these are some of the issues that you need to discuss before you do this. But for me, it's not fard, but I do not belittle or look down at all upon anyone who believes it's fard. And inshallah, they should not do likewise for the people who do not wear the niqab.